Another great
But
song,
while
Jackie.
there's moonlight and music and love and romance,
Hey, live community.
let's face the music and dance before the fiddlers have played.
Anyone know this one?
Before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have a chance, let's face the music and dance.
Hello, live community.
Soon
It's Jackie Porter, the financial
we'll
confidant,
be
with Jen.
without
It's Ask Jackie,
humming a
the Ask Jackie series
different
with myself and Jen.
And then there may be teardrops to
Hello, confident community. How do you like the song?
Love this
while
song.
there's moonlight and music and love and romance,
I feel like it'll be a perfect song for Christmas
let's
seasons,
face the
holiday
music
seasons.
and dance, dance. Let's face the music and dance.
Now, it's really hard to not hear the rest of the song because, first of all, live community, thank you for waiting. We were having some technical challenges today, but I was looking forward to hearing one of the musical divas of all time, which is the incomparable Ella Fitzgerald. I love being a pretend DJ live community. I get to play whatever I want. And, you know, she's actually one of my all-time favorites. She's such a legend, honestly, just such a unique voice. She's really in a category all her own. So if you haven't heard, you're not hip to Ella Fitzgerald, check it out. Check her out. This is like digging way, way, way back in the crates. But anyway, her song that she was singing to today is Let's Face the Music and Dance. And I thought, you know, I'm always playing. There's always a method to the message and a reason for my rhyme and rhyme for my reason. That's the most rap I'm going to do. And, you know, we're doing the Ask Jackie, Team Jackie series today. And of course, I've got my man, Jin Lee, with me here. We're going to talk about the topic that was so well placed for this song, because this song is talking about let's face the music and dance. And I think it's such a great mindset to be going into 2023 with, right? Because, you know, last week we were talking about setting your intentions by creating a financial vision board, just simply because life doesn't always work out the way we want. In fact, when it comes even to building an emergency fund, the reason we do it is when we get the weather report, the weatherman's often wrong. Right? So the best that we can do in circumstances that are out of our control is face the music. So if facing the music looks like you got Christmas bills and the credit card statements, I just got mine in the mail, have come in, and you're like, oh my goodness, I have some regrets from Christmas past. The best thing to do is face the music, open that statement, see what it says. If you're worried about, you know, where your investments are at, I know there has been so much negative news in the markets, and, you know, this year, maybe you didn't increase your net worth as much as you hoped. Isn't it good to just know where you stand and then have a plan in place for what you're going to do next? Let's face the music, live community. So I'm here today with, of course, Jin Lee, our chief in-house financial planner, to discuss how to build that fortress around your finances, how to, you know, be more prepared going into 2023. So we're going to get right into it. So how are you, Jen? How did you like the song? I was
Doing
asking
great.
you.
I love the song, Jackie. It's honestly something I can listen to at night when I'm relaxing and with a glass of wine, maybe. And
Yeah, it's all about that glass of wine, right? And
exactly.
facing the music, right? And facing the music. Well, let's delve into some of the things that I
Sure.
was sort of talking about when I was introducing the live. And it was about facing the music, looking at your statements, looking at your investment statements, looking at your credit card statements, making a plan. And the other thing is facing the music and dance means you're taking that light approach, right? You're not like panicking. You're not going, oh my gosh. You're kind of you're putting yourself in a relaxed mindset, because you don't make really good decisions when you're stressed, do you?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think one of the things that people do when they get their statements this time of the year, of course, none of the people on the live, but I'd love to know, live community, how many of you, for the innocent and the guilty, how many of you have opened those credit card statements and have a plan? If you do, please post, yes, I have a plan for the bills I have to pay off on my credit card. Say yes, we would love to know. Or if you don't have a plan, we'd love to know too. We want to support you. Same thing about your investments. How many of you opened your investment statements, maybe updated your net worth statement to see where you're at? If you haven't, nothing wrong with it. But if you have, please post in the chat. We'd love to know. And if you're like, I don't know what to do next after I look at my statement, other than to maybe cry, again, we want to hear from you. We want to support you. So sometimes when people do open their investment statements and they see that they're down and the market's been down and they've had all this negative news, they think, maybe I should cash in. Maybe I should just get out and put my money under the mattress. I've certainly had these types of conversations with clients in the past. What's your take on that, Jen?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just lost you for a bit, Jackie.
Oh, no worries. I was saying, why is staying invested important? Because people might be thinking, when heading for the hills, when they look at their statements and their balances aren't where they expected them to be. But why is investing and staying invested over the long term important to a person's portfolio when they're building a financial fortress?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a really good question to ask, especially around this time of the year. In 2020, as you know, Jackie, we had a lot of clients asking us what they should do with their investment, with everything going down, stock market is going down, the bond market is going down. What should I do? So
Right.
that's been a question we've been getting, and we also have seen a record inflow into GICs during past several months or even in year. Think there's billions of dollars right now currently being flown away from stock market, bond markets, flying into a GICs or money markets or low risk interest only investments.
Yeah, and you talk about that people
Yeah.
get panicked. They put their money under the mattress or in the GIC, similar GIC under the
Mhm.
mattress, or in other low interest type investments, and they're following the herd. And I think it's so
Exactly.
dangerous, Jin Lee, following the herd, because we watched people follow the herd when the markets were up, where everybody wanted to buy Bitcoin or some form of Bitcoin or get into the technology sector because they heard it's going up. It's
Mhm.
just as dangerous to follow the herd going down, isn't it?
Exactly. So my favorite investor, the almighty sage of Omaha, Mr. Warren Buffett, he famously said, be greedy when others are fearful, right? So I think this is perfect time where basically when everyone's flying to GICs or money market, they're flying to quality, flying to safety, and we see these sort of behaviors every time there is market downturns. And so as someone in the financial industry, whenever I see a market like this, I get really excited. And to me, it's like seeing in my favorite shop finally going on a sale
70% off.
after 7 years. After 7 years or 10 years, I
Sale,
think.
sale.
Exactly. So that's how I look at it. And my only remorse personally is not having more to invest. And because there's such a great opportunity to invest into stock market and benefit from it. And
Especially if you're a
mhm,
long-term investor. Absolutely, right? I mean, it's again,
exactly.
it's dangerous to make panic decisions, follow what everybody else is doing, and then I think we talked about this, Jen, as well, trying to get back in later. Then
Yep.
you're doing the opposite of getting things on sale. You're
Hmm.
literally you're
Hmm.
literally like buying things. So you've sold at a loss because you sold when things were on sale. However, you didn't benefit from the sale price. You sold for the sale price. You didn't buy at the sale price. And then you're going
Exactly.
to buy that same investment potentially down the road when the media tells you it's safe
Mhm.
to get back into the market. So now you're going to pay more for something you just sold.
Exactly.
So you're going to pay $16, sell for $16, and then buy for 22 and hope to make money, live community. Like,
E-
help me understand this logic.
Exactly. You put it in a good way, Jackie. So it's exactly the opposite of buy low, sell high. It's basically buying high and selling low. That's what
Mhm.
happens when you move up the market when the market's down and getting back when the media tells you it's safe to get back in. And yeah,
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about maybe some of the instances that we've
sure.
seen where the markets have gone down,
Yeah.
how that impacts
Okay.
impacts an investor.
Yeah. So let's say we are looking at a U.S. stock market, and then specifically S&P 500, which is a great index to measure overall stock market in the United States. And there has been since the Great Depression in 1930s, there has been probably 11 to 12 instances where a stock market S&P 500 will end with more than 10% down. So what's amazing is what comes afterwards. So if you're taking an average of all those 11 to 12 instances with the market down more than 10% during a year, the market has recovered about 6% 1 year after, and 35% 3 years after, and 80% 5 years after. And if we're looking at more closely to our most recent market recovery that happened after the '08 Great Recession, we're looking at so 1 year after 2008, the stock S&P 500 dollar went up 25%. 3 years after, 47%, and 5 years after was 126%.
Well, that's kind of why people need to be patient. They need to understand what they're invested in, what the trend looks like for what they've bought, to get
Mhm.
a sense of how things are going to recover, how things are going to grow, and why it's so important to understand what your long-term goals are. Again, when you follow the herd and you buy things you don't understand how it's going to grow or fall, because these are reasons that sometimes people don't stay invested, right?
Exactly.
Because it went that investment went well below their comfort zone in terms of what they expected. As far and now
Mhm.
we had a year this year where with the bond market we saw not
Yeah.
just negative returns, like double digit negative returns in the bond
Mhm.
market, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
and
So,
and that's
mm,
that's typically follows a recovery period normally, doesn't it? I mean, these are things that can
yeah,
happen when you stay invested. You get to participate not just in the downturn but in the recovery as well.
exactly. So the number I just talked about is basically showing that we have discount now, and it's going to go away soon. That's what the number's telling. And then '08, that's what 14 years ago. So the last time the market went for sale before this whole pandemic was 14 years ago. So we never know when we'll be seeing this discount again.
Exactly. And I
Mhm.
think if, when we have conversations with clients and we're talking to them about, staying invested, following,
Mhm.
understanding the trend lines, not of what's going on in the market, but what's going on in the investment you've purchased into, they'll say, we'll joke about things like this. Remember, we're just joking that, maybe we can get in, like maybe we should wait and try to get the lowest point in the market. Let's wait, Jackie, a little bit longer. Maybe if we try to time the market, we'll be able to get even a lower rate. What do we tell them?
Yeah, we
Timing the
actually
market
have
possible?
a lot of clients say that. So first of all, I it's very hard to predict the bottom and the top. I think it's very almost impossible. Personally, I think it's impossible to consistently predict whether the market is at the bottom or high over long term. It also is almost like a supernatural ability to be able to do that.
And and nobody's ever done that. All the
E-
so-called experts, live
Exactly.
community, they do that after the fact. Then they say,
Exact.
well, so I was actually following this one gentleman. I'll leave him nameless for you guys. But in 2019, I was reading his material because he was an investor pundit and he was talking about the investing market. And he said, we're going to have in 2019 the greatest recession ever. Be ready. It's going to happen. So why you should sell all your money now, because we're going to have the greatest recession the world's ever seen. So he said that in 2019. Then he said that in 2020. And then he said that in 2020. So obviously he'll get a chance to be right. We had somewhat of a recession in 2020, but the market came back really, really quickly. Like it started to come back towards the last half of 2020.
Mhm.
But the funny thing is, he'll be right eventually, right? Like if you
Mhm.
say you're gonna have the greatest recession and we have a recession every 8 years or 10 years, you're gonna
Mhm.
be right one of the times, right? So
Exactly.
predictions are really dangerous, right?
Mhm.
It's really, really challenging, live community, to understand what's going to happen in the market on any given day. So it's very challenging for you to make money if you're buying with this sort of having this sort of expectation of a quick turnaround. That's gambling. I think you can do that at the
Eh,
casino, can't you? Hopefully,
Exactly.
you make
That's
money.
what
You
casinos
might
for,
lose.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and there's a really good reason why market timing is really difficult. It's just because when we're looking at overall returns on the market, most of the gains actually happen in over only several days. And there
Yeah.
is a really good research done by, I think it was by a Bank of America, and there's also an article that talks about it. Is so let's say we had $10,000 in 1930, and we invest in S&P 500, let it grow. Do not do anything. Do not touch it. Do not sell it. Let it grow, and we would have made about $1.7 million. But let's say we take out the 10 best performing days out of each decade we had since 1930s. Guess how much we would have made? We would
How
have
much? How
we would
much?
have made only 2,800 versus $1.7 million.
Oh my,
That's
wow. The 10 best days. And does anybody know when the best days are going to be? No. The only way to
exactly.
participate in that is to be in the game, is to be invested. And I can't stress that enough. Now, again, just because we like to use it's a confidant community, so confessions are welcome. I love being people's priest. Tell us your story. Have you ever, live community, cashed out of the market when the market was in a downturn? What did you do next? What did you do after that? Once you sold, did you go into GICs? What did you do? How long did it take you to get back into the market? We'd love to hear those stories. Again, we want to support you. We want to support you if you did this and it was a challenge for you and you're recognizing that might have not been the right thing to do. Bless me, mother, for I have sinned. or maybe you were someone who you had the opportunity you were in this situation and you didn't sell, you stayed invested. I'd love to also know, what were the reasons that led you to stay invested? If you got your statement and you're like, oh my goodness, things don't look great, what led you? What were what were the habits, or what led you? What was the situation that led you to stay invested in that?
Mhm.
And let's talk about how financial advisors can really influence behavior when it comes to staying invested, staying in the market, and making that return. So
Sure, yeah.
speak to that for our live community, Jen.
Sure, Jackie. Like Jackie said, a lot of people have the experience of selling when the market is down. And then it's everything we talked about of how great stock market has been in terms of performance and why it's difficult to time the market. But in theory, all these are good, but in reality, it's very difficult to do emotionally. It's hard to really see a large amount of your money. Let's say you've been saving for your retirement for past 20, 30 years. It's really hard to see that going down 10%. And a lot of people, because of that reason, they decide to sell out of the market. And that's especially true for someone who has self-directed investment accounts. So if someone has self-directed investment account, they can easily panic sell by logging into their investment account, clicking a few buttons, and it will be done. There'll be no one else to stop you or give you a second opinion and to help you stay committed to staying the market. So I think that's where one of the biggest value financial advisors bring, psychologically, is to help clients stay invested. So if you're working with funded financial advisor, you're basically having someone else on your back who can help you give an objective second opinion and answer any questions and concerns you might have about staying invested so that you can stay committed to it. And I
Yeah,
think,
I mean that's probably the thing that separates self-directed investors, because I've had conversations with clients, and they were, they had investments that they were managing themselves, and when they were following the herd. And the thing about following the herd, sometimes in the short term it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if everybody's selling and we were anticipating we were going to have a recession in the market, or the market, we were going to have a market downturn, guess what? We've just created it. If everybody's buying and everybody thinks we're going to see an uptick in the market, then everybody's buying because the technology companies are, recording record profits, and everybody's like, oh, this stock price is going up. Well, we're helping it to go up because we're buying more of the shares, right? And so that behavior can sometimes mean you ride the wave when things are going well. It's only when we have a setback like this, that if you're someone who's a self-directed investor and you feel confident because you haven't lost any money yet, it's good. It's easy to feel confident when you haven't lost any money yet.
yeah.
But now all of a sudden you've lost money, and now you're like, what do I do now? Should I sell? Should I buy?
Yeah.
Even if you're in the most inexpensive investment ETFs and you don't have a plan, you don't have someone to talk through what was the reason you bought the investments you have, what's the track record, what's the trends, what's it going to do in the future, have a plan. What's the worst case return you need to earn in your portfolio? And this is where building a fortress around your finances matters, and having a financial plan matters, because if you know what you need to earn in your investments to retire comfortably, it doesn't matter as much what the market's doing day to day, because you have the confidence to sleep at night knowing the worst return you can earn in your portfolio and still be able to meet your financial goals.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. So if someone's working the advisor versus self-directed accounts where a few clicks you sell, if you think about that, you'll be sending an email to your advisor or calling them up saying, I want to sell, and then there will be someone right in front of you through the calls or by email to tell you why you shouldn't sell according to your financial plan. So that's one of the biggest value financial advisors can bring. And also, I think there was a research that actually managed to quantify how much this means in terms of portfolio returns. And I think the research was done by Vanguard,
That's right.
and according to Vanguard's research, it can bring as much as up to 2% in investment returns. So that additional 2% on investment return may not look like a lot of return,
It
but
adds up.
over compounded time, it adds up to a big number.
Yeah. And I think when people think about, again, building that fortress around your finances and being able to have a confident mindset, it's all about your behaviors, right? So your behavior of not panic selling, following what everybody else is doing, having a plan means you have a customized plan that's actually set to your specific circumstances. So you can actually pick up the phone, talk to somebody and say, what's going on with the markets? How is that going to affect my personal situation? Not what's going on with everybody else. And that's hopefully going to lead you to that scenario where you're not selling and buying GICs and maybe just adding just a little bit to your capital every year. And before you know it, it's retirement. And even though you didn't see a lot of dynamic ups and downs in that portfolio, it didn't grow that much either. So is it going to be enough for you to live on when I'm talking to the ladies now? We are living longer. We actually are also in the scenario where we don't often earn enough. We don't earn as much as our partners. So we're in that circumstance where we need our money to work really hard for us. So consider the importance of making your money multiply, even though that might mean some ups and downs, versus having your money just incrementally go up a little bit. And that's when it's just adding a little bit. It's like the difference between money adding and subtracting versus your money multiplying. And that can only happen with time. It's not a quick scenario. A
Yep.
quick scenario is being in Vegas. I haven't done very well. I usually bring $25 to Vegas. And if I lose that, I'm really upset. And that's it. It might mean I spend less on my purchases there, but just consider that if you're buying and expecting a return short term and not anticipating that your investments can go down short term, and then you're making quick decisions on emotions, you're really gambling the security of your financial future.
Exactly.
So I think the other thing that people wonder, and I certainly have had these conversations with clients as well, what if the market just completely blows up and everything's down and it's all terrible? This is the opposite of let's facing the music and dancing, by the way. Everything just goes crazy. Then what, Jen? What do we do? Should we
I get these questions a lot, not
I'll
just from the
stop taking your
clients.
phone calls, live community. They'll just stop. They're like, oh, that person's calling. Everything's gone. The world's gone to hell in a handbasket. What do we do?
So that's actually a question that I not only get from clients, but every time I speak to my friends or families about how stock market over a long time has been going up, is what happens if stock market crashes and goes away and never comes back. So I don't want to say it will never ever happen, but one, it's very extremely unlikely it's going to happen as long as we have the capitalist economy we have right now. Because stock market and bond market are one of the core mechanisms that makes the capitalist economy work. And for example, even I think North Korea has the country with the least capitalism in the world, had some sort of, I think the government itself, they issue and sell their own bonds to the market as well. So that really shows how important stock and bond markets are. And let's say under very unlikely hypothetical scenario, the capitalism does go away. What happens then? If that happens, sure, stock market will go away, but money will be meaningless. The money will stop having meaning, and it will be worthless. And the rest are
That's
sure.
right.
Money will probably the last thing you'll have to worry about if that ever happens.
That's how I feel. I said, like people ask that the stock market, you may recall, I remember, because I've been doing this for 25 years now, I remember in 2008 when we had the last major market downturn. And as a result of a lot of the additional debt securities that were written down that insurance companies were holding, because of the importance of the security of the financial markets, including the insurance markets, the government stepped in and bailed out. You guys may remember AIG. AIG in Ontario or in Canada was actually bailed out by BMO. BMO bought every single contract on the books. And then now AIG is now BMO Insurance, because we cannot risk the market going down. We cannot risk the financial security of all Canadians or investors around the world. We would have a much greater problem on our hands than of course, your investments. And yes, I wouldn't take your call if the world went down in a handbasket, because we really, really have bigger problems. So that's not something that we can control, to be quite honest. Again, being financially resilient, building a financial fortress is focusing on the things that you can control. So what are some of the things you can control to build a fortress around your finances in 2023? One is getting a handle on high interest debt. The other one is truly understanding how many people in the live community truly understand what they need to live to have a secure retirement, how much they need to invest. If you don't know that number, is that helping you to feel confident about your financial future and sleep better at night? And if you're someone who's thinking, no, I'm not feeling confident and I'm not sleeping well at night, especially in this market, because I am worried about my financial future, maybe the other thing you're thinking about is, can I afford healthcare in this market? All of these things a financial plan can help you to solve. If you're somebody who wants to have a second opinion on your investments, reach out to us, reach out to our team. We're here to support. There's no obligation on your part, but if it's going to help build your financial IQ, help you to feel that you're going to have a more secure financial future, we are here for it. So please feel free to reach out to us. Jody is on this live. She's going to provide our contact information so you can get in touch. And yes, definitely, if you're thinking about ways that you can build a financial fortress around your finances, it's as I said, it's all about debt management. It's all about understanding your numbers, and it's all about having a plan that you know you can stick to. So that's where having a coach, a financial coach, comes in, working with a financial advisor, because hey, we're all about keeping you honest. So thank you. If you got any benefit out of this live today, if anything resonated with you, please feel free to share our live. If you came into the live late, a fact, we came into the live late today because I was having some challenges getting connected, then don't worry, we've got you. We're going to have a summary of the live available to you on Sunday. So check out this summary of all the ways you can build a fortress around your finances going now that we're into 2023. And, you know, we've got lots of great content coming for you, live community, confidant community. So stay tuned to our channels. Follow us on all of our channels for all of the latest updates. See you next time. And again, let's face the music and dance going into 2023. Bye, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.
Bye, everyone.